Okay, so here we go. Looks like I'm playing Solet again. He wanted a rematch after that last game. It did kind of end abruptly, so I played him again. Um, Looks like this is going to be another Sicilian here. Not sure what it's going to be as far as what type of Sicilian, but got my fingers crossed for the Open. It doesn't look like it, though. Looks like it's going to be one of those canal attack type things. At this point, if it turns into an Open Sicilian, I'm okay with that. Because I've played this type of position many times before. I mean, I don't do as well as, say, the normal Open, like when I play the Dragon, but I do okay with this, too. But it's not my ideal, so... yeah, so, I mean, I could play for d5 in this position, but since my c-pawn's gone, it might be easier to play for b5 and just keep my rook on the c-file. So, rook c8, then maybe a6, b5 would be an option. And then if he plays a4 here, I might have to switch my plan. Okay, so b5. So he's coming in for an attack of some kind. I'm not sure exactly how. Maybe he could play e5 here, but that gives me the d5 square. A lot of times I like to be flexible and not try to force things too much. Simply because a lot of times when you're forcing things, it can work out in your favor, but if they stay flexible enough, they can respond very easily. So right now, I mean, I got b5 in, so now maybe I could maneuver my knight to c4, and that'll give me a decent position. Yeah, so we'll just see how it goes then. If he plays e5 now, my knight's a little bit misplaced because yeah, first I think I'm going to trade. And now my knight's very poorly placed. My other knight's defended, so it's not as bad as I originally thought. So yeah, that's good. So now, let's continue with my initial idea. He can't take my d-pawn because his bishop hangs, so that's good. If he trades, I think just pawn takes is okay, or d takes, because I don't know, it's equal pawn islands. Well, he has an extra pawn island, so that's good. I have the bishop pair, so I want to keep that. But if we trade rooks, that's fine too. Because if we trade rooks, I can work my bishop pair a lot easier. Like for example in this way, where I harass his rooks. So yeah. Now I can play bishop c5 and work on that long diagonal with my bishop. And okay. So I'm going to redirect my bishop to g6. That way I have pressure on his c-pawn. And then if he ever plays c3, my bishop can slide into d3, which would be a very good spot for it. So I can't take that, so instead I'm going to pile up on his knight, I suppose. If he takes, then we just trade a pair of rooks, so that's not too bad. I can live with that. Although it does alleviate his main problem, which was his isolated pawn. So, like I said, I'm not too worried about trading a pair of rooks. I'd rather keep the bishop pair, although he can force a trade here with moving his knight. So, I don't want to take, basically. So Instead, I'm going to play rook d8, attacking his queen, because he does kind of have this threat of knight e7 check, and I can't take because my bishop's pinned to my queen. But now, like, he could check me here, and then king h8. It's pretty simple. This intermezzo, bishop takes bishop, doesn't work because I just play queen takes, which is check. And then we trade queens, or yeah, we trade queens, probably. And then I could check him and trade some more, and then I would have a bishop versus knight, but don't really. With pawns on both sides, bishop versus knight is good for the bishop, although my pawns are already on the light squares, which kind of makes it harder. Because you want your pawns to be on the opposite color of your bishop as much as possible, because then they don't interfere with your bishop's movement. So here it looks like, I don't know, he's calculating some tactics here. Bishop takes bishop, doesn't win anything. Queen takes rook. Queen takes rook, queen takes queen, bishop takes bishop. Yeah, I mean, then it would be what? Queen versus bishop and rook. I could play bishop takes knight here. And then after bishop takes queen, rook takes queen. That's not exactly what I want, so I think I'm going to play king h8. If I go king f8, then after bishop, then he could play queen takes rook, and it would be a little bad for me. So he's on my bishop, so I'm kind of forced to trade here, which is okay. Now, like I said, I mean, bishop versus knight is okay for the bishop when the pawns are on both sides of the board. And even though my pawns are on the same color as my bishop, I easily can draw this. It's not a hard thing to draw. I mean, true, I don't necessarily like playing against knights because they're so sneaky when they move. But yeah, either way, it's not. It could be worse. That's what I'm trying to say, I guess. I mean, it could always be worse, but. So like I said, my plan is to just. I was hoping I could try to dominate him, but I can't. So, I gotta try to get my pawns on the opposite color of my bishop, because that way my bishop has more movement. So I could play bishop here, but then after he doesn't have a check because my bishop covers all the checks, and then I'm attacking his pawn. So I mean, I'm kind of dominating his knight, but at the same time I'm not really. So okay. So unfortunately, it's going to be hard for me to convert this into any kind of win. Maybe if I can get my king over to... If I can get my king to c5, maybe I have some way to break open. You know what? I think he just dominated himself here. Yeah, here I'm covering all of his knight's movement squares. So I think I can win his... Oh, he gave himself a square, unfortunately. Maybe I can win his g-pawn somehow. It's going to be hard. Okay, so that's hanging. Can't let that fall. If he gets double pawns out of it, it's okay, I suppose, but I mean, ideally, I wouldn't want it to fall at all. But I mean, I win his g-pawn in return, it looks like, so. So that's got to count for something. Now maybe I can get my pawns going and try to promote, try to break it open and then do something. I gotta keep an eye on his passed pawn too, because otherwise his pawn can get through. Looks like I'm gonna win both of his queenside pawns. This is good because my H pawn is on the right color. I mean, this is the light square, so I could win if it was just my. Okay, so I mean, at the end, I hung my bishop, but he ran out of time. But I mean, I think he would be able to stop my. I think he would be able to stop my pawn. But yeah, anyway, so yeah, that's the game.